So 60-second what's it called again? What do you call it?
Yeah, I call it a present moment awareness.
Present moment awareness.
practice.
So this requires no mountain.
Right.
It requires.
Yep.
It doesn't require more than a minute.
Right.
I mean, and that's one scroll's worth of
Yeah.
one video.
Yeah.
So you want to try it?
Yeah, let's try it. All right.
Okay.
So let's prep for this first.
Okay.
First of all, what I want to do is bring up a couple of things that are going to run through all of the practices that I offer as part of this little class. One of them is what we call intention setting, and the other is just cultivating curiosity. So we're going to be working on that in all the different practices. So even in this little 60-second thing, let's work on that. So the first thing is this idea of setting an intention. And it doesn't have to be some huge accomplishment. May I get an A+, nothing like that. But it's like, just may I notice what's going on? May I bring focus to my studies? Something like that. So you're attaching that intention to the practice itself. There's a psychological component to that. When we bring intention, we're making, it goes back to that definition of mindfulness again. We're doing it on purpose, right? We're not doing it just because it's like driving from point A to point B in your car and you don't know how you got there, right? That's not on purpose. If you're assigning an attention to something, you're actually giving it a sense of purpose. So you start with intention. It could be anything that you're feeling like. May I be fully attentive to this class or something like that. So you start with your attention, and then you give yourself permission to be curious. Because that's, again, we live in a world where curiosity isn't always reinforced or encouraged. Even in a classroom, where we're just like, I got to check the boxes. I got to check the box. I got to get this thing done so I can pass and get on to the next thing. So actually giving yourself permission to be curious is kind of a big deal.
It's very opening, yeah.
Yeah, very opening, exactly. And again, going back to the idea that, when we're stressed out, we contract. And when we start to lose some of the stress, bad stress, good stress is the kind that keeps us sharp, So I'm not saying all stress is bad, but the kind that's distracting us is not helpful. And so as we start to let go of that, we start to, as you said, open up. So what you do in this practice is really simple. It comes from a basic mindfulness breath practice. So if you're comfortable noticing your breath, breathing in, breathing out, whether it's through your nostrils or through, as your chest rises and falls or your belly rises and falls. If you're comfortable with that, then all you do gently for 60 seconds is hold your attention on the sensations of breathing in and breathing out normally. No special breathing involved, no fancy footwork, just noticing I'm breathing. Bringing my attention as it comes and goes.
I can do it eyes closed, eyes open,
That's right.
Doesn't matter?
Yeah, so if you're going to do it, a lot of folks do this with their eyes closed if you feel safe doing that. Some folks don't, and that's fine. So open eye meditation is perfectly as effective, but what you want to do is you want to maintain an unfocused gaze. So if you're sitting at a desk, you're just looking maybe a couple of feet in front of you, and you're letting your eyes kind of unfocus. There's a lot of distractions going on around the edges, and so that's why open eye meditation is sometimes a little more challenging. People are getting up, sitting down. People are checking their phones, and you're like,
yeah.
So I encourage people to play with eyes closed, but if that doesn't work, eyes open, unfocused gaze is fine.
Great.
Yeah.
Any other steps or anything before we practice?
Yeah, so I just wanted to briefly touch on the fact that not everyone, some people get into their overwhelm zone when they focus on their breath. There are different reasons for that. People who have a history of asthma, for instance, they're always kind of monitoring their breath and, am I having an asthma attack?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So bringing your attention gently, non-judgmentally to your breathing sometimes doesn't work with folks for whom breathing is kind of an issue of one kind or another. And that's perfectly normal, perfectly acceptable. So what you do is you just bring your attention to a different, what we call, object of attention. So my object of attention could be my breath, just the regular in-breath, out-breath of normal life. Or it could be a sensation in my body. So, for instance, my feet, if I'm sitting in a chair, my feet are on the ground, and I'm feeling the sensation of the soles of my feet on the ground. And that changes. There's some tingling there, maybe. There's some difference in temperature. There are some sensations to focus on there. Also, if there's a sound, this might not work in a classroom very easily with everybody kind of sitting around you making their own noises, but sometimes like a ventilation system or a fan that's got that drone going works. If you had your headphones on, you could even put on some kind of white noise or something that you can bring your attention to that doesn't stimulate you.
Yeah.
It's got to be kind of boring, actually.
Ambient, just dull.
Dull
but
sound,
that so that way you don't escape somewhere else.
Exactly.
Your brain doesn't flutter.
It's not exciting you. In fact, on some level, you're just bored by it. And that's what we want. And that's another thing. When I talk about discomfort, I'm also talking about boredom. And that's really interesting to bring attention to.
Yes.
Is, what is boredom doing to me? When I feel bored, do I feel desperate to end the boredom feeling? Or am I okay? Am I comfortable with the boredom? So that's just one more source of discomfort that can happen. So what you do is, in this practice, and what we're going to do is I'm going to ring a little bell and invite you to close your eyes if you're comfortable with that. And then all you're going to do is bring your attention to an object, either in your body, in your sensory realm, that's boring. And hold your attention on that.
Perfect. Okay.
And then what you're going to notice, and this is mindfulness working, what you're going to notice is your mind is wandering, right? Because it's boring. So your mind is wandering. It's going to start you're on your breath. Oh, my breath in, breath out, breath in, breath out. Oh, I am so hungry right now. Wow, okay. And then in that case, when you're waking up to that, because you literally are, in a way, waking up to the present moment when that happens. You're going to gently guide your attention back to that boring thing, your breath, the sensation of your feet on the floor, your hands in your lap, a droning sound, whatever it is. You're just going to notice it non-judgmentally. Again, remembering the definition of mindfulness, non-judgmentally, just guide your attention back and try to, again, hold it on. There's no punishment. There's no right or wrong. There's no, I did this, I failed. None of that works because if you noticed it, you're practicing mindfulness. It's as simple as that. 60 seconds, that's all it takes. So during this little practice, your mind will probably wander, even in 60 seconds. Just notice it as soon as you can. Some people, when they start out, they notice it at 59 seconds. They're like, whoa, where did my mind go? And then in that last second, just bring it back, Or your mind might wander like 25 times during that 60 seconds, Again, just notice, bring your attention back.
I don't need to count how many times. I don't need to think too much about it. Just recognize it and come back in. Yeah. It's like a loose door without a lock on it. Just will open up. No, just let me just kind of keep it closed.
Gently close it. Yeah, that's nice.
No pressure.
It's a nice analogy. So when you do this 60 seconds, we're going to prep for it by, again, setting the intention, and then also just giving ourselves permission to be curious. So when things come up, thoughts are going to come up, just notice them. Don't try to push them out. Just notice them and then return your attention. So any number of things can distract you during a 60-second meditation or a longer one. Just noticing them as sensations is sufficient.
Right.
But don't judge them. There's no need to think of them as bad or good or distracting or negative. Just notice them and be curious. Wow, look at that coming up.
Yeah.
It's like, sitting in the woods watching wildlife show up. You're like, whoa, I had no idea that was living here,
Right.
And then just let it go on its way. So that's what we're going to do for 60 seconds.
Okay. I'm letting those animals run away. I'm not capturing it.
Right.
I'll just set the intention of, if I was a student, my intention would be, all right, I don't want to check my phone for the entire class.
Yeah.
I want to live presently.
That's bold.
Okay.
That's bold.
I don't know if I can do it.
Right. Going to work with that discomfort. That's coming in another module. But yeah. So we're going to go with 1 minute. So what I'm going to do is invite you to kind of gently close your eyes and then find that object of attention. Find it. Whether it's your breath, whether it's your a physical sensation that you can maintain connection with, whether it's the sound of something in the room, a fan or whatever it is. Just take a moment before we begin. Just take a moment and find that anchor, that object. And then when you hear the sound of the bell, you're just going to gently hold your attention on it, noticing the sensations that come up, noticing any other kinds of sensations that come into your mind or through your senses, letting them go, returning your attention to the object. So, ready for the bell. As the mind wanders, just notice and return your attention gently to your anchor. When you're ready, you can gently open your eyes and bring your attention back to where you are right now in this present moment. So I would say give that a try, before class, while you're sitting there in the classroom, before you walk into the room. You can do it standing, you can do it sitting, you can do it lying down. Doesn't matter. Just 60 seconds. And then what I would challenge you to do as you start to get comfortable with that, try to find space for 5 minutes somewhere along the line. If it can't be in class, then it can be between classes or while you're doing something else, you can take a 5-minute break. But just begin with 60 seconds and see how that lands.
Yeah. Because again, it's like a muscle.
Yeah.
Starting off small, a minute, and just building up and just practicing when you can.
That's right. If you're wanting to do powerlifting, don't start with 350 pounds at the first try. You're doomed. And then you'll tell yourself from that point forward, I can't weightlift, right? You're going to tell yourself, I'm a failure at weightlifting. And that is not the truth. The truth is you just need to train up to it. And so that's what we're hoping to accomplish.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.